Hello, hello, friends. It feels good to be here, to have gotten the permission to come back and to share a message here to YouTube. Some of you may or may not know if you're in my Patreon community. I have been sharing a little bit more there, a little bit more sporadically, but my guides have been really, really strong lately in me pulling back and just resting and taking this time to integrate, to gain the messages, gain the clarity, gain the understanding without sharing it yet. It just hasn't been time to share. And there's many reasons, I believe, for that. And you may resonate. I mean, we do go through periods of feeling this sort of collective fatigue, whether we're on a twin flame journey or just any sort of spiritual journey during this time on the planet of ascension. And a lot of people talk about ascension symptoms versus ascension symptoms. And I think we've all just kind of started calling it ascension symptoms. But I think a lot of teachers are starting to clarify it's not a symptom because that makes it sound negative or like there's something wrong with you. It's that your body is holding more and more light, more and more positive energy. You're expanding. And so your vessel takes some time to integrate, to recalibrate. Your body has to catch up to that energy because you're holding so much powerful energy. So if you ever find yourself going through periods of feeling really unmotivated, really tired, fatigue, and it could manifest in your emotions as well. You could feel really uninspired and really down and low and like, oh my God, am I depressed? Because that's what the Western medical system would call it, is most likely depression if you just want to sleep all the time. But really, it's not a negative. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Of course, make sure that, you're eating well, drinking well, you don't have any other medical thing going on. Always, be using your intuition when it comes to that. Because I do know there are people that are actually having medical issues and then they're thinking it's an ascension symptom and then it's going unchecked. So that's why I'm saying that here. I'm not a doctor. But for most of you, I think you probably have this feeling in your intuition, and just know when you're getting those calls, just honor them. Even if your ego is like, no, you have to be productive, go do this, you need to do this, you need to be moving forward, whatever, really, really honor it. So that's what I've been doing. And I just wasn't allowed. I always say it like that. I feel like my free will choice has been taken away from me because once I chose the path of Christ consciousness and walking in the light and walking as a divine child of the light, that I chose that. That was my one free will choice I had to make. And then the rest of the decisions are made for me. So I just kind of flow with the energy. A lot of you might resonate with that. So here I am, and I'm really glad to be here, and I've missed you all, and there will be more sort of coming for me as I'm guided. And I have a quick little window before I have to get to client sessions. But I just was really guided to come on and share, and just know there may be like a lawnmower and things going on outside. It's not the most opportune time for me to be recording, but it's just the time I have. So we're flowing with it. So this is kind of a message about the masculine energy, and everything is a macro micro. We can look at everything in our lives and we can find the through lines and connect the dots. So on a twin flame journey, we are balancing our inner masculine, our inner feminine, coming into an inner union and a wholeness. And I think that's a beautiful place to be, depending on where you are in your journey. So as you hear this message that's coming straight from my guidance team, it's really important to become balanced and become sovereign and become self-sufficient and autonomous and independent. But there comes a point on that journey where you have to get really honest with yourself. Are you pretending that you don't need anybody? Are you pretending that you are needless? And some of us might feel that way. We might honestly very much so feel that way because we feel like we've let go of our ego attachments. We've let go of our identity. We've learned, I need very little to be happy. I need very little to survive. It's kind of the Buddha, right? It's the enlightenment where you need nothing. You want for nothing, you need nothing, and you just are, and you're peaceful. And like God is your supply of everything, abundance, money, friends, whatever, all of it. So you can definitely reach that state. But we're also not for nothing on this twin flame path. Those of you that tune in here, it's most likely why you're tuning in. And this masculine energy, if you look at it out in the collective, we need the masculines. We want them and we need them. We need that powerful energy. There's this idea in occultism and the mystery schools and, so this ancient wisdom and knowledge, that to become a magician, to make magic, and that can be used for light or it can be used for dark, right? It's the magician's choice. You must unite two polarities, a negative and a positive, a light and a dark. And in unifying those, you become a magician and you have great power. And really, there are no limits to what is possible and what you can create. And this is something that a lot of magicians, let's call them, manipulate and use sort of dark forces in order to do that. But this is something that is very inherent within the twin flames. It is very inherent within this ancient truth. And many who know this knowledge and our understanding of the mystery schools and the wisdom, they know about the power of the twin flames. And there are some forces that fight very hard to keep them apart because of the power that they wield, the power that they hold. And many of us have been in separation journeys where we've been learning how to become powerful on our own, where we've been learning how to be a fully unified human, sovereign human, where you need for nothing and want for nothing. But many of us are at this new phase where we're coming into this window of being able to acknowledge and say to yourself, yes, I deserve love. Yes, I deserve physical love. Yes, I deserve the manifestation of my dreams, my wishes, the things that I want, the things that I can see, the things that I've seen in the future that are not here yet. And so there's this feeling of noticing in your life where there's a lack. And it's not a lack because there's something wrong with you or that you're inherently missing something. A lot of times on these journeys, we talk about, unhealthy relationships where you have something missing within you. So you go seek it to find it in something else. That's not what we're talking about here. So I just want to be really clear. And it's subtle and it's different. And I almost wonder if those that are not on a twin flame journey, if they can't quite understand what we're talking about here because they don't have those codes. And that's not good or bad. There's no judgment in that. It's just something that those that are twin flames can really fully embody and understand this. I don't need my twin, but I want my twin. And what I've been kind of understanding lately is I've held that belief for a while, is the want, this would, if this is aligned, if it feels right, if we're both willing to walk this path of sovereignty in our higher selves, then there's a desire and there's a real option and path there. But I've been coming into this inner knowing that I need my twin also. And there's something, especially as a woman, that feels very like we're taught not to do that. That feels very like powerless, like we're giving our power away. And there's a lot of programming and conditioning around that, right? And this is kind of what I'm touching on. And I don't think I'm going to get into it too much in this video, just because of time. But these two forces unifying, yes, they unify within, and that's beautiful. And there's an extent where we can go. But when the when the full self merges, which is the twin flame, one half of the soul, each a half of the soul, when those unify, the possibilities are limitless. The magic is limitless. It is so powerful. And this is what we are all conditioned to kind of condemn and be afraid of. I'm sure you've experienced in your life when you mentioned being a twin flame, if you have, and I'm sure a lot of you have had this experience, people kind of have a lot of judgment and a lot of questioning and a lot of, well, I'm with my twin flame too. And there's this weird ego thing that comes out where people either want to say that's stupid, it's fake, it's not real, or they're like, well, I'm a twin flame too, and they're a twin flame, and these are twin, and it's just that's just the word we use for our lover or the person, or a soulmate. And there's so much that comes with being a true twin flame. We almost need to create a new name because it's not a path of relationship or true love. It's a path of walking in Christed, the Christ path. It's the Christ consciousness path, right? And those that are familiar with the story of Christ, he wasn't very popular when he was alive. Mary Magdalene and him, they weren't very popular. Like they had followers and they had people that started to listen to their message, but they were really ostracized from their community. They were walking a weird path. They were outliers. Okay. And so that is kind of what is required of us as twins. And there's mission work involved in that. And there's using our voice and there's speaking out and there's this willingness to be ridiculed. But you start to see the programs that we all carry. You know, I was talking to a friend who's a twin flame and she's like, I even get triggered when I hear people talking about how much they love their twin. And I'm aware enough to know that that's just a program because I love my twin. She's like, I understand it because I've experienced it. I am it. So I understand it, but I even get sort of bothered by it sometimes. And when we're able to identify what that is, it's just a force to keep these powerful forces apart. And so we're just coming to this place, at least I am. And I feel like when I get these messages to share with you, it's because you are going through it as well. And it will activate some remembrance, and whatever codes I'm holding will activate some codes within you that may be dormant or may have been bubbling. So that's why when I'm guided to share, there's a reason, is we're coming to this inner knowing and this inner awareness that we need the masculine. Not only do we need our divine counterpart in our lives to activate the potential, to activate the destiny, the timeline. You know, many of us are meant to bring in star children. Many of us are meant to be literal time travelers. We're meant to create so much. We're meant to defy the laws of this world, right? In many ways. And that's a whole nother topic I could get so excited about and start talking about, just the capabilities, the extrasensory abilities, all of these things, the clairvoyance, like all of this that's coming in. Okay. It is activated through the other. Okay. All of the secret ancient wisdom. So we actually need one another. The masculines need the feminines in a very specific way. And I've gone into that in many readings, but the feminine is the masculine sight. She or he is the sight for the masculine energy that helps ground, the masculine grounds, but helps direct, that's what I should say, direct the Shiva energy. Yeah. The activation energy, the creative energy. Because without that, the masculine can get really caught up in things that are not on the aligned path, that are not correct for them. But this idea of needing the masculine is really prevalent if we look around in the collective as well. When you see masculines who are very disempowered, and through their disempowerment, they actually have to attack the feminine. They actually have to attack divine feminine, because if the divine feminine is true, if she's right, if she is authentic, if her heart is true, if what she's living, if what she's sharing, if what she's giving is true, then it completely falsifies everything that the distorted masculine believes. And I'm going to try and say that a different way. So I'll use an example. If her world is correct in the way she's living through her heart, through her intuition, through divine guidance, through absolute trust and faith, then everything I thought I knew in my life is wrong. That's what distorted masculines are confronted with and what they have to come up against. So what ends up happening is a very integrated, healthy, divine feminine energy is extremely triggering to distorted masculine. They can be triggering to distorted feminine as well, but it's really the distorted masculine templates, the witch wound, right? The condemnation, the stripping the power of the feminine away, commodifying her, making her, objectifying her, making her, taking away her power. This is all this wound that we've seen with the divine feminine rising. I mean, I was talking to another teacher, and we're noticing how the negative, bad, like just fucked up comments that we get are almost 100% from masculines. They're from men, right? And they're always these comments of kind of like, you're stupid, you're wrong. And it's exactly that. Like if we go to the deeper underlying layers, their whole world is triggered by our existence, because it would mean that they would have to rewrite, reframe, and shift everything in the way that they're living and the way that they're existing. And there's deep, dark-seated wounds within them that they're afraid to bring out to the light to heal, which is what the feminine does. The feminine holds that. I mean, I've noticed myself being triggering my entire life with just by my presence. Okay. And I've noticed it particularly with male energy and masculine energy. Right. And that's by design. That's the mission. And many feminines, you probably resonate. You probably relate to this. You could have triggered your brothers or your dad or, male like bosses and, just people around in your life that felt like their power was being questioned by yours. And you could have been in positions where, you're the child, so you don't have more power. What do you mean? Like, I'm powerless to you in many, many 3D circumstances, but it's the energy. So we need the masculine. This is back to my thesis. We need the masculine. We need the healed masculine. The healed masculine holds the sacred boundary, the sacred vessel, the walls of the house, if you will, to protect that feminine's light, to protect her voice, her mission. A lot of people, historians or mystics, and just people that have done their due diligence, speak about Mary Magdalene and Yeshua, Jesus. And they say that she was really more the teacher. But do we hear about her as much? No, especially not in religion, because she's the divine feminine. But it was almost like his energy protected her. His energy, I mean, if we think we live in a challenging time, that was a very challenging time, especially to be a woman of power, a woman of sovereignty. Very, very challenging. And without Yeshua, she would not have been able to do what she did. She would not have been able to heal and to transmute and to teach and to speak. And so much of, there's a lot of old manuscripts, ancient manuscripts that the church decided to toss aside and didn't want people to know about, but it's all about the Sophia, the divine feminine goddess, the creatrix, right? And that is so much of the principles of what Yeshua was teaching, which one of the biggest religions is based upon, his teachings. Altered, of course, right? Distorted, of course. But at the end of the day, so much of it was this woman. And so much of it was her energy. But it's the power of the two combined, because she wouldn't have been as strong. Not only would she have been unsafe and probably murdered and not protected, but she wouldn't have been able to do that. And he wouldn't have, all the teachings that we have heard that he's done, that was amplified by her, right? So we do need, we can become these spiritual Buddhist monks of enlightenment. We can go sit on the hill and not need anybody. And trust me, it sounds so nice. I get it. It sounds idyllic to not need anybody. But that's the true vulnerability. That's the true path we're on. We're on the path of being seen and being vulnerable and being naked in front of somebody. And that's a lot easier to do by yourself. It's a lot easier to be that monk on the hill, enlightened, right? And we've had this period in our separations because it's been really important for us to get to a place of strength. It's been really important for us to heal any of the things that the twin is going to bring out, because whatever is unhealed within us, gets triggered by them. And especially for divine feminine, so much of the messages my guides have sent me is that the feminine has to be really fucking strong, like really strong and really, really healed, because so much of her energy heals the masculine. And if she's not healed, if she hasn't integrated so much of those sort of codes and lessons and initiations, then she's not going to be able to be there to hold for him, to hold the healing space. I'm reminded of the story of Kuan Yin and her divine counterpart, who healed her pain and her suffering and her wounds of being tortured and raped and hurt and all the stuff that she went through in the war of her family. I don't know if it was a war as it was people coming into her village and just pillaging. But it was the counterpart that held that space. But that counterpart did it from selflessness, from patience, from divine unconditional love. There was no, well, what are you going to do for me now? I'm just giving and giving and giving, right? There was no resentment. And that's kind of the place that feminine has to get to. It's the divine mother archetype, which is completely selfless and self-sacrificing. And if there's any bit of distortion, that's going to come with resentment, and that's going to create karma. yeah, I'm mainly focusing on the divine feminine. There's tracks I get pulled down where they're like talking about the divine masculine, but this is mainly just a message here for both parties to acknowledge. And a masculine energy, this feels relevant. A masculine energy really desires to feel needed. That's really important. That's an activation. That's an initiation for them when they feel needed, when they feel the call, when they feel desired, when they feel that's what activates the masculine energy. It's that protector energy. And so a divine feminine, you know, we see it a lot in the world, actually, like, I don't need you. And it creates this insecurity within the masculine as well as this insecurity within the feminine. And then it's just really unhealed. So this is kind of what I'm seeing in the forecast for twin flames, as we are the leaders, we're the energetic relationship gurus. We really are that. It's crazy, but that is what we're doing. And people can condemn us and think we're stupid and idiots and that we're not important at all, but we'll know the truth. And when you're integrated and healed, it doesn't matter what people say. But the divine feminine energy is very powerful, very potent, and very triggering. Just know that. Just know that your energy is very triggering. And it's going to be triggering to women and feminine energy as well that are not healed. But what is happening is you are bringing to the surface anything within that person that is distorted so that they have to look at it. And when you're healed, all you're doing is holding a mirror because you're not taking it personally. You know, it means nothing about you. And that's kind of the place we need to get to, because we are meant to be such leaders and we are meant to hold such great energy, right? So a lot is going to be thrown at us. A lot is going to be thrown at us. And if those of you share publicly like this, you know that already occurs. It already happens. And it's something that the deeper and deeper that you can hold yourself, and you know for sure that you are, I'm hearing beloved, that you're the beloved, that you're beloved, that you are adored, that you are sovereign. It bounces off. It doesn't affect you. It's not something that really even, it can't penetrate. It can't penetrate. And that's something that I'm seeing really clearly, that the masculine is a very strong wall, an impenetrable wall. The feminine energy is meant to be penetrated, right? And she penetrates, she, you know, shoots through and sees through and sees in the dark. But the masculine energy is kind of the sturdy, like the walls of the house. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging within yourself that you do need this person. Not only do you desire this person, but you do need this person. You do need the masculine energy. And yes, you can have perfectly healed, whole masculine energy within you, but the world has not caught up to that yet. The world has not caught up to that. So that's why the partnership, the soul reunion is so important to the journey. I was going to pull cards, and I always do that, where the guides are like, go on. And I'm like, what am I talking about? They're like, you'll see. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. And then I have a deck and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going to use this, but we'll pull one card just to kind of, I want to see what's going on in terms of connection energy. Okay. I just saw Archangel Gabriel. Okay, this is really interesting. Okay. Financial constraints and envy. Let's grab a little bit more. Contract. Broken heart. Okay. Yeah. So this is the masculine's energy coming through. And I guess I left it up. This is what's been happening to me lately. And I don't know if any of you guys pull cards. I'll try and pull cards for myself. And I'll just want to check in what's going on with me. And then I'm like getting these messages that are not necessarily about me, about the masculine energy. So there is currently what's going on in the energy is loss, pain, regret. it's like a betrayal energy over the contract, the wrong path, the path that was taken that led to a very dead end. Financial constraints, envy. And it's really funny that this envy card came out, because this feels very connected to the feeling that I was grabbing around twin flames. There's this like envy and desire to infiltrate and to cut off and stop. And people don't even know they're doing it. They're not even aware. People that love you too, that's a thing. There's something, it's a code, right? And it's all energy. And whether we're aware that we're energetic beings or not, so whether people know that they're being affected by energy, when they hear that word, it activates something within them. It's why people hate the word. They're like, let's change the word. There's all this stuff out there. You just look at it and you'll see what I'm talking about. So it feels like there was a deep divide. And this could have happened for feminine as well, but I'm just really strongly getting the masculine energy here, because it feels like the awakening. We have door to spirit on the bottom of the deck. So this is somebody who's coming alive and being very, very crystallized. Like spirit is showing the path. Spirit is showing the correct path, the path that's been walked, and this impasse, this in between of letting go of one to move into the other, because we have action underneath that. Okay. And I feel like there's this thing here with the feminine, and the feminine feeling unreachable, or the feminine feeling untouchable. And I wonder if this message wanted to come out today, just to have feminines kind of look at themselves. Like, you're like, I'm not unreachable. I'm not untouchable. I'm right here. Like, if this person wants to talk to me, they can just get a hold of me. But there could be something in the energy around this idea of like surrendering and letting go, and really sitting in the feminine energy and the acknowledgement of like, I do need this person. I do want this person. I'm not just this monk on a hill that can just be autonomous and pretend that I need and want for nothing, because you're in a human body and you're on this planet. So if you really truly were taking that path, you would pass, right? You would move into the next dimension. You would leave your body. But that's not happening because you're a twin, and twins are meant to unite. There's this thing here. And to be honest, it was so shocking when this energy first came out, because everything I was channeling, and then I was like, whoa, what the fuck is this shit? Right. But it feels like the financial constraints could relate very strongly to money, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. It's the 3D pressures. It's kind of when I was channeling Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and the path that they walked was the uncharted path. It was the path that looked crazy to everyone else. It was, I'm not going for this. I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to achieve. I'm just being, and I'm allowing spirit to be my source. I'm allowing the divine to provide for me. Everything that I need, I have within me. And when you can fully trust, which is what this journey is all about, getting you to trust your intuition and trust in spirit, there's no fear, there's no anxiety, there's no worry. People are stressed about gas prices. People are stressed about this. People are stressed about the darkness in the world and all this stuff, and the things that the dark entities are doing, and how they're hurting humanity, and like all of this. But when you focus on your trust and your faith in the divine, you don't have that. That's eliminated. It's kind of what I was referring to with the, your one free will choice is choosing the path to walk. You choose your path that you walk, and then the decisions kind of go away. If you're walking with the divine, if you're walking into Christ consciousness. But it looks like here, what I'm getting, that there's a regret here of the path I walked, because I walked the wrong, I don't want to say wrong, because everything is divine and everything is the lesson, but it feels like there's an energy here. There's a person here who really had to walk the wrong path in order to know what the right path was. They had to learn the hard way. In order to really trust, in order to really understand. And I do feel like that is that's kind of like the masculine inclination, the masculine energy, is to go so far into the darkness to then find their way back to the light. But it does look like that's happening. So interesting. I did not intend to have any messages about masculine, but they really wanted to come through. But there is an acknowledgement here as well, I feel, of the envy of the feminine sight and the feminine's inner knowing and understanding. And there's been this weird sort of hierarchy with like spiritual development, like one's so much further ahead than the other, but that's just an illusion. That's such an illusion. Like, you guys can probably resonate with this, but like, or you feminines can resonate with this. The way that you see your masculine is in the most profound, beautiful, divine, like angelic light, like goddess, God energy, just so pure, regardless of the behavior. Yes, you're also aware, you're an observer, you're integrated. So you can also see the behaviors and you can see everything that happened. And okay, yes, it's not like you're in denial, right? You're in awareness, but you just see like how connected the two powers are, how intertwined they are, how one accesses the other and one opens up the other. And that's something it feels like this masculine struggled with. It struggled with being good enough. Am I going to mess up your life? Like, am I too far behind you? Is it too late? Have I messed this up too much? There's a lot of that coming through in these cards, like how can I possibly give to you what you deserve type of thing. Because as the activations and the understanding come through with the stored spirit, that's kind of what starts to trickle in as well, is this deeper understanding of like what was lost, what I gave up when I walked this path, when I chose a different path that wasn't my highest path. But the thing is like, we only know what we know in the moment with the information we have. And the blindfold over the eye here, so many of us are living that way. I just want to be really clear. We can't be mad at people or condemn people for what they did with what they knew, because they're mind controlled, they're programmed, you name it, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's so prevalent. It's kind of like you believed one way because you saw it one way, and you weren't able to access the higher perspective. And then you have a twin flame activation, you meet this person and they kind of help you access all this, but you're like, whoa, I'm not ready for this. Whoa, this is too much. I don't want to know all that. And you're like, la, like, I don't want to know, but it's kind of too late. And then you try really hard to kind of let me distract, let me do all this to kind of push this down. But that was the old way of being, and you can never go back. You can't unsee what you've now seen. And that's kind of what I'm feeling here. It's like a big reckoning energy. And the one thing, if there is any masculines watching, that you should know is your feminine needs you. Like, your energy, regardless of what you've done, where you've been, how you've been ashamed, or you felt not advanced enough, that's illusion. That's the 3D. That's the old, outdated of like hierarchical thinking, good, bad, black, white, better, worse, all of that. That's just illusion, is really all I can say. That's all I'm being guided to say. It's illusion. And this is the thing about the masculine's initiation. Their initiation is in being vulnerable and falling on their sword and taking the hit and being vulnerable and saying I was wrong, as hard as that might be. Or just admitting, like, or telling the truth, like the radical truth, even if it's messy, even if you stumble over your words, even if it's hard, even if it's scary, even if it's blah, 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 and you don't know how it's going to go, that actually is the initiation, the activation for you. So all the answers you're seeking, all the things you're trying to figure out in this period prior to doing that, get answered in that moment. They come full circle. And that's what Spirit's shown me the whole time, where you don't get to learn in a cave. You don't get to learn in isolation or a hermit. You learn with the other person, especially for masculine. There's something there where I feel like masculine gets obsessive about thinking that they have to have it all figured out and they have to have been completely healed before meeting or before coming back into sort of commitment or connection or communication, whatever it is with feminine. And it's actually through that it all starts to shift for the masculine. The feminine does most of it kind of on her own, it feels like. And of course there's initiations and whatnot after, but masculine doesn't have to be comparing where they're at to feminine at all in order to be like ready. That's something that's been very, very clear for me. And I work with masculines in session, and that's what they're the most kind of afraid of, is like, I don't want to mess this person's life up. I don't want to, like they pedestal the feminine a little bit too much, but that's an illusion. That's an illusion. All right, I'm gonna go, but I'm sending you all a lot of love. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back soon. I'll be back when I'm back. In the meantime, take really good care of yourself. Rest, play, relax, do what you feel guided to do. Lots of love.